Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are so happy to have the Micro MBA session. So welcome to our session. We are so excited to have you all here. Can you please type in the comments where you're listening to us today while I am introducing myself and my very precious colleagues. I am Gözde Türktarhan. I am the program leader of International Fashion and Retail Marketing Program. And I have Alex and Trevor, my co-hosts today with me.
Hi everyone, glad to see everybody again. Glad to be joining the Micro MBA again in session 5, and really excited about today's session and today's guest, David, with us as well.
Hello everyone. Yes, I'm Trevor Murray. I'm the MBA director here at Chester Business School, and indeed we're pleased to have David as part of us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex and Trevor. We have Dr. David Acquaye today, our guest speaker. So we will have a finance session with Dr. David today. So our journey continues with the session by Dr. David Acquaye. His session will cover financial fundamentals that are crucial for effective decision-making in any type of organization. He is the head of department of accounting and finance division within the Faculty of Science, Business and Enterprise. He has 20 years of teaching experience in higher education, and he has significant contributions in learning and teaching through program development, quality assurance, and postgraduate research delivery. He is highly experienced about banking, accounting, finance, and analytics. David, we are so happy to have you here today. Thank you for making your time. The screen, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Gözde, Alex, and Trevor for beautifully introducing me. A bit humbling. Yeah, so my name is David, and I will be taking you through a bit of the fundamentals of finance. I was looking for a photo which was more financy to put there, but I saw this photo of mine. I said, well, why not me? So I just put myself there as finance. So I think it's lovely, and I love it. So sometimes instead of looking for stock images, you just put yourself in there to make it real. Yeah. So for this session, at the end of the day, what you will understand is largely on decision making in finance. What sort of decisions that we make, and any finance topic you pick, you can put it into 3 areas. So that's what I'll take you through, and then I'll look at how the modern finance terrain has been disrupted by a lot of new technology, AI, and stuff, where the traditional need to be up and doing. And then I'll go into what we teach our students, what we teach here in terms of, if this is the final, what do we teach in terms of content? Yeah. So please, Alice, or can I do the slide myself from here? Okay, so I'm starting with what's a normal, what we call finance parlance, we call traditional finance. Now, any organization or any individual, any firm, any company, when it comes to finance, there are three decisions that every organization will make. The first one, it's called the investment decision. Okay, and the investment decision is basically to do with what should we invest in? We got this kind of money, we got these resources. What should we invest in? We're starting this project. What should we invest in? And you know that this will come out with a lot of variables which need to look at. For example, where should we do that business? So location comes in. Is it relevant these days for you to have a location? Well, that's traditional finance. So we look at how the disruptors have looked at it. And now the second key decision is, if you settle on what you're going to invest in, the next one is, where are you going to get the money from? How are you going to finance it? Are you going to use your own money, or are you going to borrow? Are you going to use shareholders' money? Are you going to use debt or equity? Are you going to use crowdfunding and all sort of things? So how much will it cost you to raise that finance? Okay, and then the third one is the reward. What reward will I get from it? How can I motivate somebody to say, okay, bring your money, let's do this business, this is how much we're going to get. So that is the return on the investment. In proper finance shareholding, what we call lexicon, you will say that the dividend decision. But I've tried to avoid the word dividend because it's not every company which pays dividend. They can sometimes reinvest their money. Okay, now these three decisions, they never work in isolation. They work together. All the three will happen at the same time. Yes, that one, traditional finance, is aware of that. But to make these decisions, I mean, become more sensible and more practicable or more applied, you need to understand that we are dealing with a lot of global related matters. So, for example, new investment like cryptocurrencies, for example, is a big thing. And then somebody said, what is the risk associated with it? How is it different from stocks and all sort of things? And people, you don't hear a lot of good PR on cryptocurrencies. People are suing people are complaining, my money is lost, and so on. But there are positive side of things. Is it something worth looking at? Is it part of that investment decision? Well, at the same time, look at the inflation. For example, currently in October, data shows that it's 2.3. But look at global inflation. The IMF is projecting it to fall to 3.4 by 2028. That is a drop from current global inflation of 8.73%. And you know, this is very, very critical in terms of the financing decision when it comes there, and it comes to the reward decision. Okay, we're going for this money, the cost of borrowing is there. And when we get that, we get profit, we need to share some as reward. This might have an impact. So these are vital. We can't say, okay, this is an investment decision and we are not familiar with what we call the inflation-related statistics. Other things like, I've been trying to press my arrow key down. Okay. Other things like, within this finance environment, I was just looking at wealth supply statistics, for example. In the year 2000, we had the US, followed by Germany, Japan, France, and UK, Canada, China, Italy. In this ranking, in terms of the export, the sort of things we export in billions, this was the ranking. Now look at how it's changed after 23 years. So this I put the 2023 data. China on top. Okay, this is trillion. You're talking about trillions. So is a 3.379 billion in terms of exporting. That is I'm just waiting for the 2024 statistic, which will be out by January. Now, when you're making those investment decisions, all of these need to be taken into account. Okay, if I know that I could get everything from China, is it worth having, let's say, a merger with a company in China? Is it worth having a merger? Because I've realized that in the top 6 or 7 in the UK, if I live in the UK, it's not even part of it now. If you look at the older one, in the year 2000, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th one. How do I factor all of these things into my decision making? They are vital. Then I went to look at what you call global mergers and acquisition. Sometimes it's not worth starting your own business. Sometimes maybe you need to buy a company. Sometimes you need to go and form a joint venture with this company. So I was more intrigued at looking at the relevance of sector. Okay, and if you look at technology and technology, telecommunications, and stuff, that is where the big mergers and acquisitions are happening. If you can't go start it by yourself, just look at what other people are doing, join them. If you can't beat them, just join them and start up. So I was looking at all of these factors. And the last one I looked at was looking at the world. If I'm making these decisions, okay, starting a new business, for example, or investing in stocks, investing in it, then I look at the world's biggest companies, 2023. I was just looking at the data. In terms of billions, Microsoft was top. And I look at all the 10, the first 15. I think that there was only one which was in the US, it was AstraZeneca, which was a next year UK company. But this is the top 12 or so. Microsoft, Apple, and this AI company, Alphabet, I think Google, Amazon, and so on. So my question that I'll ask myself, if I was supposed to buy shares, like at an investment decision, if I was supposed to buy shares, which one should I invest in? Which one, after looking at all of these factors? And then I said, well, if I go Microsoft, for example, Microsoft is very diversified. It doesn't do only computers, it does systems, it does all sorts of things. Do I also need to invest in a big company? That was also a question. Or should I go into some of these new startups and then go and invest in myself in it? So I gave my students a work to do some analysis. So these things, everybody in my class can generate a graph like this, automated. So I just pick Tesla, for example. And I said, so when I say everybody in my class, these are undergraduate students and sometimes level 7, because the level 7 and the MBA, we will teach you slightly higher compared to it. But this is also good for consumption for the MBA and then the master's finance level. That if we bring this before you, all you have to do, so for example, the deep blue line is the volume of trade, okay, so the volume as in terms of how many shares traded during these months. And I was just more intrigued about the spikes. Okay, the spikes you see there. What accounted for those spikes? Is it the right time to buy a share? Is it the right time to offload shares and so on? And some of them were due to political, so if you look at the November one, it was more to do with the US elections, for example. And then you ask yourself, is it the best time to buy your shares? Is it the best time to run? And you know the way shares work. When you run when a lot of people want to demand that share, naturally the price will go up and so on. But how long can I keep it? Can I take it for a short time and then can I sell it off, or I can hold it for a long time and then So one slide, which will be my last one, and I'll take you through what it's all about. So, okay. But maybe before I come to this slide, I'll come to that one. Okay, so this is, if you want to make these decisions, if a manager like MBAs, for example, if you want to make a decision, well, in this day and era, moving away from that traditional one, somebody will say stocks have never failed. It will never fail, and it has never. It's over 400 years. It's got credibility. Even in the 1928 depression, it still resuscitated itself. Anybody who has held stock for a very long period of time, you won't fail. The stock market will crash and it will resurrect. There's evidence to suggest that yes, you'll take some risk. However, the premium of global stock exchange is between 3 and then 4.8% in terms of you investing in stocks. If you invest in other things like debts, where like you buy treasury bills, the 400-year record is between around 1.4 to 2.9. It is that the reason why it is low is because it is risk-free when it's debt, isn't it? But when it is stocks, because you are taking some of what you call some form of risk, because you don't know what will happen, like COVID or anything. You're taking that form of risk, so that risk needs to be rewarded. So that is why it's a high risk, high return, and so on. And there's 400 years of evidence. Even in 1992, when in the early 90s, when there was this default, the Asian crisis, and so on, still stock resurrected. 2008 financial crisis, the stock still came back, and so on. So yes, I can look at these big 10 companies, or I can look at where I can diversify. So this is from my book, which is coming out in the press. If you buy, so this, what you see here, I was just looking at Alphabet and Google in terms of their stock. We as financial analysts will say that you always invest at the top of this curve. Now, this is you trying to put so many assets together in a portfolio. Okay, so this particular one, the second graph you see, is where we will advise people. If you look at the y-axis, where it's on the second graph, you see that where the yellow line cuts the line, it starts from 1.5 onwards. Okay, now when you look at the first graph, you see that you are in the 0.0 stuff. What it means is, if you take one or two, you are not able to diversify too much, and the risk might be a bit too high. But if you pick a lot in a portfolio, they co-insure each other. They are insurance to each other, and then your profitability or your reward is slightly higher. So we say that that's portfolio diversification. You are diversifying the risk. Okay. Now, if I move on to this particular slide. Again, before you make any of these decisions, I will say that big data analysis should be there. Now, I've said DFP. Now, if you have big data, first of all, you can analyze it and look at what really happened. That's what we call descriptive statistics. So your data is there, you analyze it and say, okay, these are the trends. And then the F is where you forecast. So you forecast into the future. So if you got that big data, so I've got the finance data for, let's say, the last 400 years, and I'm looking at all this analysis, so I can forecast into. So when you're making these decisions, these days, data is a big thing that you have to look at because it's available. And then when you get that, what will be your prescription? So that's the prescriptive analytics. That's what we do. So because of availability of data, such decisions need to be made with a big respect for the data that's available. The next one is, these days, you remember those days where you have to go and queue in a bank and then deposit money. These days, the bank is in your bedroom, isn't it? You can do almost everything. You remember when you used to study where you have to go to the library and learn how books are arranged? That was a program on its own. These days, the whole library is in your bedroom. So think all this stuff. So you do things like the Revolut, the Chase, and all these. They are competing with the so-called big banks, and they are really in a big fight, not a big fight, like competitive struggle. So some of them are closing down, and some of them are now saying, okay, we're also going to use technology, AI, face recognition, and so on. But some companies have already taken that step. So if I want to look for money to finance this project, can I go to them? Are they risky? And so that needs to be looked at. The other thing is, we should also look at, when you're looking at finance, you want to invest, or you want to look for, you can use AI as a prompter. I mean, AI is doing some marvelous things. The last time I attended a course in Cambridge, and then recently I've done one with Microsoft, and the way they're promoting Copilot, for example, for it as a prompter to tell you, okay, which are the best companies that I have to invest? Okay, so it brings me maybe 10 companies. Then I use some of these analysis to just try and validate them, whether they are good or they are bad, and so on and so forth. Okay, now I would treat critical examination of location and what in finance terminology we call lexometric index. If you're going to invest anywhere where location is important, the institutions which enforce the law are very important. So, for example, you go to a place where the legal institutions, where if anybody defaults, where if anybody maybe what we call illegally abrogates a contract, how are the court systems able to deal with it? So the World Bank has got something we call doing business. So on the World Bank side, is doing business. So it's got every country's ranking in terms of what we call the strength of institutions, how enforceable, because remember, it is big money you are taking to wherever the location is. And there's a way to allocate what you call numbers to the strength of the institutions. That's what's called the lexometric index. So that is putting number on the strength of the institutions. So if your enforceability rights or shareholder rights, if it's big, we give you a certain ranking, and so on. And there is literature on it that when the lawyers prepare these indices, it looks different from when the economists prepare it. Yes, it may be obvious reasons, but these things are indicators for somebody to say, okay, I want to locate here and do this kind of business. Okay, so that's why the location factor doesn't matter if I do everything online. Does it? Do I need a place? Do I need to go? Oh, I need to be like Amazon, where everything is almost online, and I just need a small head office somewhere. This is all part of that decision making. It's a lot. And then the last one, which we call project finance or corporate finance. I mean, project finance is where you find what's it called, a feasible project, and the project company is set, and money is given to the project, but not you. Okay, so I find this road, I can tow this road, but when it's completed, the people pay toll, and then I can get my money back. Okay, remember, money was given to the road, but not to you as a sponsor. It is corporate finance. That is when you will look at your balance sheet to say that, oh, you're credible, we can give you money to start this project. But if it's project finance, sponsors or people, creditors will look at the financial, what we call, the financial feasibility of that project. If it's a good project, let's put money in it. So it's like what we call off-balance sheet financing. Okay, so if anybody can start out with a new project, I can give you examples. Airbus A380, if you've used it before, it is project finance. The Eurotunnel is a project finance, and most road and infrastructure projects are project finance. But project finance, you have to get money from the project. So that is why location and lexometrics will be very important. If you finish the project and it goes into a place where you find it very difficult to enforce some of these legal requirements, then you struggle. It's very, very risky. So, for example, we've just discovering oil somewhere on the sea, your project financing with the hope that the oil will be enough to be able to repay for itself. If that happens, it needs to be in a jurisdiction where your lexometric indices and then that critical location of location needs to be looked at. Now, the core of my stuff here today is that decision making, and that decision making, every finance topic that you can pick on this planet can be put in those three categories. And before you make those decisions, it's not an easy one, but we've got models and mechanisms of how to make this decision. Each of these topics I've put there is a book in its own rights. They are big matters that needs discussion. Now, I'm told I had only 15 minutes, so I will end here. I really want to go to my decision making, and some of it might be technical, but I think you get the catch of what I want to say.
Brilliant, David. Thank you so much. So I think, David, I know you've got a very busy schedule today. So have you just got 5 minutes to for any questions from our audience or from our panel? I'd just like to start us off there, David. I'm really interested to hear what you were saying about the sort of global situation as well. We were at the Globalizing Indian Thought conference recently, and they were saying how critical it is to have a kind of a young workforce as well. So thinking about the differences between kind of global north and global south, you've seen the sort of rise of China there in your diagram. Do you think we can sort of see as a bit of a shift in, between this kind of economic power between global north and south over time? And what can the old powers do about that in terms of, we've got an aging population, haven't we? Whereas if you look at India, China, etc., they've got more kind of young people coming through, more workers. So what should the old powers be doing about that around sort of maintaining their economic position, and equally what should the global south be doing as well? I'm just interested in your perspective on the global finance environment, just to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, fantastic. That's why some of these economic blocks, so for example forming like the EU bloc, and then when there is a problem, the EU will say, okay, we want to do quantitative easing. Quantitative easing is trying to bring more money into the system. So this forming of associations, or economic blocks. So if you take something like Africa, for example, they've got the ECOWAS, they've got the there's a new one, African Union, for example. Yeah. Now, I would love that when you do some of these meetings, some of these the annual thing, one of the key things that we need to look at is the rise of technology and its impact. Okay, for them to be relevant, the youth. I was teaching computing down there, and I'm going to teach computing where time I live. Now, the pace at which I'm teaching things, some of them are even ahead of me. They're so good with the technology. And that needs to be an awareness to the leaders that, okay, technology should have a place. Okay, this time there's big data. So in order to break some of these gaps, look at the way China has overtaken a lot of things. So recognizing that, one, we can't do it alone, and sometimes it is just going to do a merger or an acquisition, so that it's a transfer of skills. The other thing is the recognition, some of these, what you call economic blocks like the EU and so on. Just recognizing, just recognizing that, well, you've got an excellent negotiation position, but look at some of these disruptors. I don't know whether is the right word to use. Some of these disruptors, especially in technology, give it a bit more respect. That it is not the traditional all the time. No, sometimes it's just going. And if you take COVID, for example, where maybe some brains need to team up. to say that we can come up with this, and they did it together. Look at the way they do space, for example, where countries team up and do this. But maybe I might be going on a bit too much, but it's just, I would say, recognizing it and then dealing with it with some of these topics that I've just illustrated. Yeah.
Great stuff. I know you've got to go shortly, David. Have you got time for one more question?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Gosler or Trevor, would you like to ask a question, or would you like me to?
Yes, thank you very much, David, for that. I don't know if you want to say a little bit. I know you've been talking about these digital disruptions. I don't know if you want to say anything about blockchain.
Yeah, so in that category. So
yeah,
so blockchain, fintech. So I think that is where, well, maybe I didn't put on my slide. Well, here, blockchain, fintech. So, for example, in Chester here, we started this program of fintechs and business analytics, for example. Yeah. So, for the fintech, more on the financial services side of things, okay, where we're showing them how to develop apps, for example. You remember those days, your phone was not even a touch screen, so you didn't have any app. But these days, everything is an app. So, financial tech, I don't need to go to the bank anymore. I need to just go onto the app. So location, things like Teams. Look at the way people don't travel these days for meetings, and companies' budgets, well, are in a very safe place because no travel costs and so on because of some of these things. So if you look at blockchain, like Amazon, for example, where Amazon, you go to Amazon, is tracking every bit of your footsteps. You went there to buy something, and then it will tell you that those who looked at this were also looking at that. Okay, and then it will say that, oh, last week you bought this one, so you might be interested in that one. So that is why I tell my students never to accept cookies when you're buying something, when you're on any website, because your footsteps will be tracked. And when it's tracked, there's data. I have data for how many times people enter a particular word in Google to search for something. So all of this is used for market intelligence. And again, this has become the order of the day. Nobody has time to do certain things, but if you've got things like QR codes, for example, people are scanning and people are not doing brochures again. Those days you go for this event, you're printing this brochure, big. This time you scan a QR code, it's somewhere there, and then you go and see what is there. What I would say is, technology, again, should be respected a lot within that decision making. Yeah, we have some new papers coming up where people are trying to quantify the impact in their modeling of technology.
All right, thank you very much for that. So now I'll assume that as managers, while we're teaching MBA students, MBA candidates, so as managers, we need to appreciate technology and also be ready to invest in technology. That would be your advice, is it not?
That would be my premium advice. You asked me. I did a course in, Alex knows this, I did a course somewhere in one of these prestigious institutions. Every week we did an assignment, and every week it was marked. We were around 80 in that course. It was marked, and I got my feedback, and I wanted to know a bit more about how my work was marked. Yeah, and the feedback that I got was fantastic. It highlighted all the areas that I needed to improve upon, and that is why I was saying AI as prompters. So it means that people teaching big cohorts, yes, we need to be smarter. We can do it better. Yes, I would say the technology is non-negotiable. That's what I say.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay then, David. I know you've got to leave shortly, but Trevor Gosler and I can keep that interesting conversation going based on that brilliant presentation. But David, thank you so much for your time, and as always, and good luck with the rest of your day, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David, for your time.
Thank you. Yeah. How do I leave?
Close your browser, I think.
I just closed it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then. So we've got a bit of a change of format this week, just to try and accommodate David's busy schedule today. So we're going to do things a little back to front today. So Trevor, tell us a little bit about. Let's have a little bit of a micro MBA update and a little update from the university. Could you talk us through this one, Trevor?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Alex. And I think just before I talk about this, I think that David's presentation was really, really good. I think there was so much to take away from there. You know, and some of these things are things, if you look at the way we've organized this micro MBA, you look at, we've looked at several units, you know, within every business. You know, the finance unit, we've talked about sustainability, we've talked about culture, we've looked at all of these and many more we're still going to cover. And you could see the importance of the micro MBA in this regard. Though it's a taster session telling you as managers, what do you need to be aware of from a financial standpoint? And this, on this note, I'm going to say it's still very open for those who still want to join up. Please, by all means, register. Okay, register is free. Share with your network in your country. Those who are interested in studying here at the University of Chester or not, or even those who are already business owners or thinking of starting their own business, by all means, is useful to them. So we can still reach out to some of the recorded sessions we've already covered, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're all on the repository there. You can find them. And all of these, we've got 3 more sessions now to cover, which is going to take us through December and January, the last one in January. And we know, we've seen this, the people that come in here to speak, they're not just the people that are coming from both industry experience, active researchers, renowned academics. So indeed, it's quite a robust one. All right. So even if you think you've not been able to join, I know some of us, because of the time zones, we are not able to join live. But we know that we can always access some of the learning materials that are available to us. And I also understand that some people having concerns with signing up. So if, for example, you're not able to log in, please go to the learning management system. You can get that on the pregem.chester.ac.uk. We've had 1 or 2 people coming to us. All right, we can sign in. Please, all you need to do is just go to pregem.chester.ac.uk. And if for any reason you can't access it, just use the lost password function. Okay, if you need to use the lost password function, and a new password will be generated for you. Okay, we're looking forward to you all engaging with all that we're doing. And I know that very soon Alex is going to be telling you about the quiz, and we'll continue to look forward to you. And by all means, also, you can use the comment section to tell us, what is it you think? All right, we did understand this, but I think I'll need more information. Is there any way I can reach out to the speaker? You know, we're happy to share some of the information of the guest lecture to you, or you think, there's an interesting conversation. I think the last time we were talking about sustainability, and I was pleased that someone took the conversation back to LinkedIn, and, you know, it became an engaging one. So by all means, don't limit yourself. Learning for us is lifelong, you know, it's continuous, you know, so please join us, and together, let's co-create knowledge in a valuable way. Thank you.
It's lovely, lovely sentiment, that, Trevor. We've had a question from IBJ, but for Dr. David about leximetric indices. But what I'd suggest to IBJ or to anybody who wants to ask David a question is you'll find David and the rest of us on LinkedIn. So I would suggest IBJ you to drop Dr. David. You'll find him on LinkedIn and ask him about leximetric indices. I don't know, Trevor or Godster, if that's your area. I believe they're all to do with kind of real valued numbers, mapping text to regulations and things like that, and indices to ranking strengths and weaknesses. I think David is the expert on those realistically. So I think probably a good idea to drop David a line on LinkedIn, I think, unless you've got anything to add to that. And if not, I think we can just press on and talk a bit more about what's been going on here in the micro MBA and the university, and then probably loop back around and talk about finance as well, Godster, Trevor, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Definitely.
Wonderful. Okay, then. So yeah, Trevor, you mentioned we've released the quiz 1 this week as well, and thank you so much to everybody that had a go at quiz 1. we've had a lot of people have a go at it already, and I've got to say, I am super impressed with the people that completed it. People have been getting 9s and 10s out of 10. When I designed the questions, I wasn't quite sure about the level to pitch it at, if that makes sense. And actually, I'm really pleasantly surprised that people are getting 9s and 10s already. If you've not completed the quiz already, again, just going back to what Trevor was saying, you've not got access to the learning management system already, pregem.chester.ac.uk and use the lost password function. So yeah, have a go at quiz 1, see what you think. And then obviously quiz 2 will come at the end, and then that's going to give you access to the certificate as well. Is there anything else to add about the quiz, anybody? I think that's more or less covers it, doesn't it? I think.
Yes, I think you've covered it, and I'm really pleased that people are so engaged with that, and that's really nice. And even on that note, and I'm sure Chandrika just left a comment. I don't know if you want to put up Chandrika's comment. Yes, it's an interesting session. First time I heard anything on finance. Again, Chandrika, believe me, with the little you've heard here, even if the quiz on the finance topic does come up, I'm sure you'll be able to handle it. And was so pleased to hear Acquaye talking about lesymmetric indices, for example. I've got a little knowledge of finance from London School of Economics, but again, though I would want David to be the one talking about, it's more around the regulations, okay, Acquaye, just more around the regulations that tend to apply to those countries where you're thinking of doing your own business. Yes, the regulations in A is the same as B, so what do you need to be aware of as a manager? Okay, so thank you very much.
Thanks for that. And Gosta, you were gonna give us a catch up on where we're up to with the sessions.
Yes, Alex, thank you so much. Before I talk about the timeline, I just want to express my thoughts about David's session about finance. So today we had his session with Dr. David's session. We dive into the dynamic world of finance. We explored key topics such as global financial markets, investment strategies, risk management, and other latest emerging trends in fintech financial technology. So as we all know, we are recording the sessions. So once you listen to his session, you can gain an understanding of how organizations develop economic approaches to navigate the challenges of turbulent global financial ecosystem. And personally, I think the finance session is maybe one of the most fascinating parts of this micro MBA program, because finance is really the backbone of decision making in any organization. An understanding of how global financial markets, investment strategies, and like emerging technologies like fintech work is critical in today's business environment. What I personally find most interesting about his session is its focus on the real-world challenges organizations face in a turbulent financial ecosystem. And I believe finance is about understanding the bigger picture, like how businesses can manage risk, adapt to financial changes, and even seize the opportunities when the market is unpredictable. So that's why financial literacy is so important for every individual and for every organization as well. So our next session is going to be on the 18th of December at 10 a.m. in the UK time. Our speaker is Ms. Pimblet. She will present a session on operations. We will delve into the operational aspects that keep organizations running smoothly and efficiently. After that, we will have a Christmas break. After the holiday break, we will be back in January, starting with the marketing on the 9th of January at 10 a.m., which will be led by Professor Morvan McCarn. Her session will focus on understanding and reaching our target audience effectively. And finally, we will conclude the series of micro MBA with digital transformation by your session, Alex, by Dr. Alex Fenton on the 15th of January at 10 a.m. This will be an insightful session into the evolving role of digital technologies in transforming industries and business models. Please keep it in your mind that all the times are based in the UK time. So I know we have many participants from all over the world. You can just scan the QR code that you can see in the screen right now to find out the sessions time in your country or in your location.
Yeah, probably, Gosda, you mentioned digital transformations, and obviously Trevor was asking David about the role of technology. So Ravina asked a great question here, says, good morning, everyone. I've got a question. Please, can you highlight the ill effects of technology or the barriers it creates to traditional settings? I think today we were talking about some of the positive benefits, but that's a cracking question from Ravina, isn't it, about the ill effects of technology, or indeed, the barriers and some of the things that we need to consider as, on an MBA, a micro MBA, and for the leaders of the future, how do we embrace and get the positive effects out of technology and mitigate against the ill effects as well? I'm happy to answer that one, but I just wonder, Gosda or Trevor, if you've got any initial thoughts on that one. It's a really interesting question from Ravina.
Well, Alex, if you want, you can start, please.
Okay, great stuff. So in terms of the ill effects, one thing I was going to raise with David as well is around, we know that artificial intelligence has grown to the point now where it's very, very visible, isn't it, through things like ChatGPT and so forth as well. But it's AI has been around for a long time, for 50, 60 years plus, and in fact, artificial intelligence has been used to manage financial transactions, stock market transactions for a long time, and that's going to increase. So obviously, that's talking about ill effects of technology with regard to finance. This is quite challenging, isn't it? If we are gifting over such important things like stock market maneuvers and finance to artificial intelligence, we don't quite know what the end result of that is, because when we're creating these artificial intelligence programs and so forth, they are doing things of which we didn't expect, because they are very, very advanced technology that's designed to do things itself, and some of those things are almost unintended consequences. The challenge of it as well is, as David was presenting, in terms of exports, the US are leading on artificial intelligence, and they're quite often driven by finance and profit rather than, as Juliana was saying, the triple bottom line of sustainability and thinking about sustainable development goals. If profit is the driver for creating these technologies, then sometimes that creates more ill effects. So I think we can see some great things in technologies and in artificial intelligence, but we must develop these things with care, mustn't we? As we move along to, we've got really smart large language models now and ChatGPT and so forth. But if we reach the point where we've got this state of kind of, general intelligence, AGI, then, these algorithms, these programs are going to start to simulate to the point where they're thinking for themselves. At that point there, we really have some serious ethical things to address, don't we? And it's quite possible, in fact, I know it is, that technology is advancing faster than regulation and policy and ethics could even keep up with it. We've seen that with social media over time, haven't we? How social media pushes boundaries and breaks into territory which we've never accounted for before, and we're going to see that at an accelerated rate as well. And as you mentioned there, Ravina, the traditional settings, sometimes the losers from all these things are the less wealthy countries, the third world, etc. We're certainly seeing that in terms of global warming and tide rises and so forth as well. But it's there's a lot of ill effects here, Ravina. I think we've just got to think about those. And Trevor, I know you've got a few points to add as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that when it comes to the ill effects of technology, one thing we looking at it and comparing it with the traditional banks, the first thing we need to be aware of today is what? Cybersecurity. We cannot discuss this without talking about cybersecurity. Countries now, when it comes to countries that are even at war, how do they attack each other these days? Everyone is more conscious of cybersecurity. That is one. Also, the investments. It takes a lot to invest in some of this technology. And sometimes you tend to invest in some of this technology and you find that you don't get much from it because, again, you would have done your evaluation like David said. David said something about having that big data, working with from the D side, the descriptive side, the focus side, and the prescriptive side. You would have done all of those evaluations you think is right for you. But sometimes you've invested a lot and you tend not to get so much out of it. So again, just looking for that balance. But the truth is, we must, if you look at the cost-benefit analysis of bringing in technology, investing in technology, looking at things from a technological standpoint, I think it's still better off as compared to the traditional ways of doing things. I don't know if that helps, if that answers the question, Ravina.
These things have just got to be used responsibly, haven't they? And it's up to us, and the people, that have joined us on this micro MBA, to think about the ethical uses of these technologies and the implications. It's a cracking question, that, from Ravina. And if anyone else has got any questions, or perhaps if you want to tell us what country you've joined from today, please do use the chat. And whilst we're kind of waiting for any more questions, Trevor, I just wanted to spend 2 minutes just talking about what's going on at university, including our new 2-year masters with placement or project. We've mentioned this briefly, Trevor and Gosta, in previous weeks, but I just wanted to elaborate on it a little bit. It is a new thing for us here at Chester. So the idea of doing, generally speaking, our master's programs last for 13 months, and they've been super popular. But we wanted to extend this to allow people to join us for this longer period. So year one, you undertake the usual kind of modules, but then rather than undertaking a kind of dissertation research project, you will enter a year 2, and this is a really substantial 30-week project or placement. Within our Faculty of Science Business Enterprise, we've got Chester Business School, we've got the School of Computer and Engineering Sciences, and we've got the School of Natural Sciences. And at all those master's programs of those 3 schools, you can do this 2-year master's placement or project. So that's a list of all the, banking finance, the MBA, digital marketing, engineering management, fintech, health services management, fashion retail, international finance, tourism, logistics, management, marketing, advanced computer science, cybersecurity, management of information systems, mathematics, Maceng, program and project management, and biotech. So there's a real, interesting mix there as well, that you could either do these programs in 1 year or in 2 years with this kind of substantial 30-week project or placement as well. And that obviously that can take a variety of forms. You'll have a real chance to kind of engage with organizations and to try and develop those skills to bolster your CV. I don't know, Gosta or Trevor, if you've got anything you want to add about the 2-year program with project or placement.
Yeah, Trevor. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead, Gosta.
Thank you. So, Alex, I definitely agree with all the topics all the points that you mentioned. I just want to add just one more thing, that master is not, I believe master, like doing a degree is not just getting a certificate or like a degree, because at the same time, having network, extending your network, meeting with industry professionals, having practical experience is so important. So 2 years option in master programs gives our students to have more insights in order to extend their network, and also it's a great opportunity to work with the industry and highlight and extend their knowledge by gaining the practical experience. So, well, if I will start a new master program now as a student, I will definitely go with that. Not just having a theoretical background, but at the same time, supporting my theoretical background, my theoretical knowledge with the practical experience will definitely make more sense. It's like 2 + 2 = 5. So, yeah.
I love it. Love it. All right. So, I think we've got a couple of Roshmi has joined us from India as well. Hi to Roshmi. And Aruba is joining us from the UK. And Ravina's saying thank you so much, Alex and Trevor, for your insightful answers. So yeah, if anybody else got any questions you want to tell us where you're from, please do. And otherwise, just a quick reminder here about our massive good news from recent good news about Business School of the Year. I mean, this is a massive accolade, isn't it? After the Business School won Business School of the North, but to win the national award, the Oscars of universities for Business School of the Year is just quite an achievement, isn't it? So it's great. Everybody joining us on the Micro MBA. Now we can say that we are an award-winning business school as well, can't we? So that's tremendous news, Gosler and Trevor, isn't it?
Absolutely, such a big one. And we're still basking in that euphoria of let it sink in, because indeed 2 years ago we were like one of the shortlisted business school of the year, and now winning it. So that shows that we're doing the right thing and we're going in that right direction. So for me, I want to say that's a big one, and I'm pleased that our Micro MBA audience, and they are now part of that winning team. So indeed, we're all winning it together, and we're all celebrating that together. So at least when you get your Micro MBA certificates, you'll be proud to say when you got it, you did it at the Business School of the Year, and the winners of the Business School of the Year in the United Kingdom. So for me, I think that is huge. Oh, thanks, Chandrika, saying congratulations. Thank you.
Chandrika's she's obviously a novice to finance. It's the first time kind of thinking about finance, and as Gosler was saying, I think it's great, for people to think about everybody to think about finance in some way as well. But Chandrika's asking about as a novice, you're saying, is the impact of current issues such as cost of living and COVID still relevant? Alex's reference to countries from global north and global south changing places in one of David's slides. I mean, there's certainly a shift now, isn't there? That young workforce is embracing technology in some of these places in the global south. The traditional kind of developing nations. We are starting to see that bit of a power shift now, aren't we, as well? And obviously that is very linked to the financial and the growth of technology as well. But I think we are still seeing the cost of living and COVID is we're still paying a lot of nations are still paying a price for that. And I think you do see, things like a global pandemic and financial shifts are also, these geopolitical factors are very much linked to these kind of shifts in power as well, aren't they? I don't know, Gosler or Trevor, if you've got any thoughts on that as well.
Of course, cost of living definitely will impact the shift, because when we look at cost of living, we look at inflation, all of these are some of the things that inform the interest rates. And the interest rates is another indices that you need to think about when you're thinking about investments. So definitely that's something that's going to be there. Yes, the UK, for example, is in a better place as compared to some of the rest of the world in terms of inflation rates. Again, COVID, of course, cost of living does impact that. And again, some of the ways you find that some of the countries being able to deal with it, yes, maybe they have the right leadership, and they've got huge investments in technology. And again, the war. Look at the crisis happening in different parts of the world. Again, that also is going to impact it. We see what's happening in, Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, and all of this. So definitely, those are things that will definitely impact some of the shift. Yes, of course.
Brilliant. Okay, we've just got 1 minute left, so just say a quick hi to Zishan there, who's saying good afternoon. Chandrika's wishing the business school congratulations for winning Times Higher Education Business School of the Year. Arash is saying congrats, as is Aruba as well, and Ibj as well is saying congratulations as well. So it just remains for us to do two quick things, isn't it? One, I think we just need to quickly give a shout to ask people to log into the learning management system, use the lost password function if you need to, have a go at quiz 1. Make sure you're following us on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you spread the word, post to social media, and do your best to join us live for session 6, which is operations that Gosda mentioned with Kerry on the 18th of December at 10 a.m. And then Gosda, you wanted to just to conclude with that as well. So Gosda, just if you want to talk us through that one.
Thank you, Alex. So here you can find our LinkedIn pages for us as well, for Dr. Alex Fenton, for Dr. Trevor Omori, and for myself. Here on this slide, you can see our LinkedIn accounts, and for our guest lecturer today, Dr. David Acquaye. As he is having a very busy schedule today, he needed to leave a bit early today. So if you have any questions for him, please feel free to reach him through his LinkedIn account.
Wonderful. That's a nice note to end in. Mohammed there saying congrats and proudly announced as alumni of Chester Business School as well. So that's great news for all of us, for staff and students and everybody else involved with the Micro MBA. So thank you, Trevor and Gosda, as always, for your expert and brilliant company. And we hope to see everybody very soon next time for session 6. So take care, everybody, and see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
See you then. Bye, everyone.
Don't